to go through all of those quadrants, but I think we can pick a couple that are more insightful. And then if we have the chance to cover the other ones, I'll send to you guys and maybe try to have some interviews with you too, depending on how much information we have here. But I think a very important one is around contributor management and bureaucracy. So, just a quick briefing. The purpose of this call is for us. Oh, yeah, the mirror link is here. The purpose of this call is for us to gather insights about our time in the TC as stewards or working group contributors. And I think we all have so much learnings we can share, and we haven't had this time to like go deep into these learnings and hear from each other. And we're all busy, so trying to make this collaborative process that we can get the most we can in 1 hour. It's the ideal. Yeah, so the topics I distributed here were contributor management and duocracy, celebration culture, participatory decision making, inclusion and boundaries, transparency, accountability, and stewardship and economic management. I would say we should start with participatory decision making, transparency, accountability, stewardship, and economic management, and see how much we can get from those, and then jump to the other ones if we have time. So I'll set a timer of, so the first quadrant would be what went well. So, what were the things that you think we did great around participatory decision making? And the second quadrant is what are the things that didn't go well or that we learned from, or there's something to be improved, or a mistake that we still don't know how to manage. So, I'll set a 3-minute timer for each one of those, and I'll tell you when to move to the what we could do better. Is there any question about how this will go?
What is the link?
The link is in the chat here.
Got it. Thanks.
Is everybody on the board?
And Libby, which one are we doing first?
The participatory decision making. So anything related to governance decisions. Okay, can I start? Okay, I'll set a 3-minute timer. Sorry, they are a little small. Welcome, NT. You can access the board here on the chat, and we're starting on collaborative decision making on what went well.
On which chat is that?
Here on the right. Should we add a little more time? I think there was a slow start. Maybe just 30 seconds extra. Okay. Now, thank you so much, Tim, for doing the time. Now we can move over to what we could have done better around participatory governance.
Is it 3 minutes that we want to spend?
Yeah, that's great.
Hey, finally made it. Where do I find the link to the mirror?
Welcome, Shabnan.
Hey,
Is here in the chat. I'll post it again. Can you find it?
yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, so let's take a quick round of 30 seconds each to go around and express opinions around participatory decision making. I know it's a short time. Let's test it like this and see how it goes. Do you want to kick us off, Lauren?
Sure. So just on the what went well side, or should I just offer opinions on both?
Yeah, sorry. The time management of this exercise is not the best. On both, if you let's do this right? Let's give it like 45 seconds and do it both.
Sounds good. Okay, yeah. So I think that especially when we were doing collaborative economics and like pre-hatch and post-hatch, the param parties were super engaging and exciting, and like with the opportunity to learn something and participate in decision making in like this fun interactive debate way. It's like we got a lot of external voices in, and we had a lot of people who were like getting really passionate about decision making processes. So it was kind of a really nice time for diversification. And then after we had done the hatch, it was like we kind of in some ways I felt got bogged down with decisions around decisions, and then we kind of like strayed a little bit away from things that were like really bringing more people into the community. And yeah, I think that's just kind of the first thing that I think of. And we'll pass it on to Tam.
Thanks. I'm not timing myself, but I'll try to keep it short. My thinking is that it's like what we're trying to do is super complex. And I think that what went well was the many different like clarification on what kinds of decisions, what kind of processes for what kinds of decisions. I think that went really well. Device process, I think, was brilliant add to bring in to allow people to make autonomous decisions and keep moving forward. Although on the flip side, I think it also really confused people, and people weren't always sure when to use it or how to use it. And then I think what didn't go well is I think we have expectations that everyone, we should have a lot of voter turnout. And I think in general, that's just not realistic. And I think we had unrealistic expectations for how much people should vote on things. And is my time up? Okay. All right. I'll pass to Eduardo.
Thank you, Tam. I think what went well was this concept of open governance and the capacity for everyone to propose. I think that was quite an interesting process. I think it was really interesting as an experiment. Also, on the flip side, just the sort of lack of follow-up of proposals, like what happens after a proposal wins, like is there any boundaries regarding that, or is like are they only taking the money and we are not doing any follow-up of that process? I think that's also something that we didn't cover, and also the documentation regarding governance. I don't think we never managed to pile up the process in a cohesive way for anyone who is a stranger to us to be able to go through that governance process smoothly. So I think a smoother documentation for how we work in governance will have been really helpful. With that being said, I will pass it on to Nate.
Thanks, Edu. Yeah, I thought we did really well with education, and especially during the hatch period, we were all working on this kind of same problem, and we had this process for collecting proposals, debating parameters, different aspects of the decision space. And I thought that was quite amazing, to be honest with you. I think after the hatch, when we got into our individual working groups, it became less a collective effort. We isolated ourselves, and the advice process it didn't achieve the outcomes that I think we intended it for it to have. And I think there's a lot of elements within the advice process that we didn't address. And so I think that's something that can be improved on. And then I'll pass it over to Suga.
Thanks, Nate. Okay, so wow, yeah, I'm still processing all of this. I added that we did have a great soft gov steward, and I think actually that was, having the organization was very helpful, because otherwise it's quite chaotic. And I think that what I wanted to just add was maybe there was some difficulty with inclusivity. I guess that maybe there's I sort of echo Edu a little bit here, where and actually Nate too, that we did isolate ourselves to the extent that as the TEC was growing, it was harder for folks, so to speak, on the fringes to get in and to get in the know and to be able to feel like they had the power to participate. I'll pass to Shebnem.
So very quickly, I think the participatory decision making around what was already designed was good and very well executed, like explaining. But the design were there, and after that was executed, basically we had a blank canvas again, right? What's next, or how do we deal with the other issues or new issues? And there, what we felt was missing were the actual token engineers, in my view, and that we still have to get them into token engineering commons to continue the design and development of this canvas that is evolving after the hatch. Okay, who's next? Enti?
Sure, thanks. I think that something that went pretty well is the building of the TC. So like the people, the processes, patterns, everything, I think that was pretty clever, and also the momentum that was built around the TC. But ultimately, we failed to move past that and find meaning and truly impactful ways to achieve our mission. And so by the end, we sort of turn into ourselves and stop really providing that value to the ecosystem that we were supposed to. I think that's it. I'm not sure who better have you done?
Thank you, Enti. Yeah, so with what Libby is just saying, trying to focus on the governance side of things. For me, I think I wasn't here during the hatch, but just this idea, I think it's really powerful of gathering a community and a huge amount of people behind a mission like the one that has the TEC and behind a nascent field like token engineering. I don't really know how you guys did that, but I think that's really amazing, and I'm providing them with the possibility to get a token and to be able to participate in an open governance. If we look at it from the perspective of like regular people that don't really know anything about Web3, I think it's just like tremendously innovative. So I think that's really good. Then on the other side, I think we just expanded too quickly, and I feel that made us lose track and lose focus on the actual mission, and the efforts started kind of like to diverge into different things, and yeah, I think that I would say that. I'll pass it to Chuy.
Thanks, Bear. Well, I've been trying to open this conversation for a while now, but I feel that there is a clear difference between how things and how our culture and decision-making process worked in the hatch, and then we had external agendas interfere with the process of the decision making of people that actually built this community. And I feel that truly shattered this very, very elemental part of the decision making process. And there was never really like a proper acknowledgement. So I feel that there is a lot of people that were very important to the community that we sadly lost because of this. And we never really looked back. So I feel that could be a very, very clear example of what started going wrong after the Commons upgrade. And I'll pass it to Santi.
Can anybody hear Santi?
No.
Yeah, Santi, we can't hear you. Maybe you can rejoin the channel. And meanwhile, we can pass to, hey, Jess, welcome. I don't know if you heard, but we were reflecting on governance, if you want to take a crack on it.
I just
What
want
went
to say
well
hi.
and what didn't.
I just want to say hi, everybody. It's really nice to see you. I don't know that I have so much to say because I haven't been as actively involved in a really long time, but I'm happy to listen and offer any perspective that is helpful. So nice to see everybody. Thanks for the invite.
Yay, thanks so much for joining. Santi, are you able to speak now? Oh no. Yeah, we still can't hear you.
I can take it meanwhile. Yeah, I really agree with Nate. Like the education around governance was very important and very good because it led people to engage with governance. Basically, like a lot of folks like myself that didn't even have idea about governance, I learned a lot, and it was so easy to participate in the governance decision. Then what I really do not like conviction voting so much, but if we go with conviction voting, I think like it's very important. Like the covenant is like even more strict than the one we have right now because it's allowing to pass proposals that seems like are not aligned with the mission and values of the thesis. So if we go with conviction voting with proposals that are easy to pass, like we should have very well defined covenant. Like I think it's a metric to success. Yeah. I'll pass it. Santi, can you speak now?
Do you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Right. Good to see you all again. I think it was an extremely challenging project. It was setting up a new economy using a bounding curve, something that most of us had never heard before. We were creating all these parent parties and setting up everything. It was extremely challenging. And I think we all put a lot of effort on the hatch, on launching. And after that, it's like all of a sudden, everything was done, all the action was finished, and we forgot that we had a project to keep moving forward. It's like, it's like there were two projects. We put all the effort on the first one, and we forgot about the second. I don't know who's missing. I'll pass back to you, Libby.
Thank you. Is there anyone, Gideon, have you?
Yeah, I'll go. Thanks, Libby. So I thought that the param parties were just amazing, historic. Actually, I felt like I was participating in history on them. They were so cool, and the education aspect. I think on the downside, like it feels like there's kind of fragmented accountability that was spread across lots of working groups, and it made it really difficult to get synergy. Like to pull things together and get coherent strategy. I think we didn't have any boundaries on spending, and so we just ended up spending a lot of money. We became, a lot of other people mentioned this, but we became internally focused. And then I think that Zepti's right too. I think that conviction voting, that it's something that's just not quite right there, and I can't quite put my finger on it. I think quadratic voting would help, but it feels like whales have too much power, and that there's not enough power in kind of people who have the expertise around token engineering. Yeah, those would be mine. And I'll pass it to Rex. Rex, I don't think you've gone. Right?
No, I think everyone's pretty much covered my ideas on it too. I do think that so I joined in later on, but so the only idea I have on this is just looking at the data, activity, and so on, and it is pretty evident that kind of after the hatch, everybody pretty much left, and it's been a downhill trend in activity since. As people have become disenfranchised, and we haven't been able to fulfill the mission that we set out to. The governance didn't really help because it hasn't adapted to the current state of the community. So we still have kind of those those people that were active when we kind of set out the initial token distribution are maybe not so active as of now, but still retain that power within the governance process. I'm not sure who hasn't gone yet.
I think everybody has gone except me. Did everybody go?
I guess I was just gonna say, now that I understand the context of the conversation, I guess I should have asked, what is the question? Sorry, Olivia, do you mind? I'll just, I guess I'll try to keep it brief. I mean, I guess it's been maybe more than a year since I was active, maybe longer. So I guess I've had a lot of learnings and time to reflect and integrating. And I guess the one thing I want to say too, to give ourselves a bit of a break or to have compassion for ourselves, is that this is all was and kind of still is an experiment. I think just what I've realized working at Block Science over the last year and looking at the kind of research and exploration into what does a sustainable token model actually look like, we still don't have the answer. So I think we did amazing work. So many people came together from all over the world with different mental models of what was going on, managed to form a community, managed to raise money, like produced so much research, produced so much knowledge, educated the community. There were so many positive things that came out of this. I guess, and I know Livia and Tam, and we've had conversations. Okay, we're at this point now, and where do we want to go? And for me, I guess I would love to support and contribute in whatever way I can. But I guess trying to understand, what is the kind of goal now? Or what are we asking people to do? Or what do you need more of for this community to be successful? Or is there some element where DAOs have a life cycle? Kelsey Nabin wrote a really great piece on this. Is there some sort of are we in a death part of the cycle and it needs to transform into something else? How does that happen? I think there's just kind of unending complexity and a lot more questions than answers. I think the one other thing that really impressed upon me as well is looking at governance as actually conflict, and people had very different needs, I think, in this community. Some people came to this needing income, or was looking at it kind of needed work in a way, and then other people, this was just they had the freedom or the financial ability to just come and go. So I think having really explicit dialogue around some of the kind of why people are here and what the needs are. Again, I haven't been that active, but these are some of the big things that came up in my mind in the last couple months.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think we forgot the timer, but that was very insightful, Jess. Thanks. And to move forward with the board, I think we can pass to a different quadrant, and I'll share something a little more digested out of this notes, so we can also think about that in the future and continue to bring more insights. So I want to change to stewardship, because I think it's something pressing right now, that we are in this transition of the stewards, and having so many of you here, people that were stewards of the TC. I really want to hear, how did you feel your personal stewardship went well? What went well in other people and other ways of being stewards, and then we'll move later to what didn't go well, and also the structure in general of the stewardship in the TC. So let's set a timer for 3 minutes, Tim, please. Thank you. Cool, and now we can jump right after to the what we could do better. Thank you, everyone. I would actually like for us to jump into transparency and accountability instead of going around now, because I feel like it's important to have all this data here, and then we can have a last sharing when this is finished. So let's jump in there and add more 3 minutes. And let's jump to the what we could do better. Thank you, Tim. start passing around to a last round of sharing. This one will be brief because we have only 9 minutes and we're more let's do 40 minutes each for a sharing. Do you want to kick us off? Sorry, Tim? Seconds. Yeah. Do you want to kick us off, Shabnam?
Sharing from transparency or just
Yeah, I think the transparency, accountability, and stewards are somehow related.
Same.
So your
Okay.
thoughts.
So I think transparency did a great job, and what could be done more is actually using those insights to also, for example, inform stewardship. And one insight or one learning or aha moment even now is that we might also need to redefine stewardship, because until now, this short term, it was always stewardship of this what we're building, but now that it's built, what are the values specific or unique to token engineering commons that we should start learn or explore how to steward? And yeah. Gideon, you wanna go next?
Thanks, Shibnam. Yeah, I would say, well, I've never worked in an organization that had transparency as such a prominent principle, and I love the idea of it, and I think it's great, and it's taken me a while to like fully get it and embrace it, and I'm trying to. I would say that the one downside I saw is that there was just not enough transparency about people's work, like the actual impact, and then like how many hours people are actually working. And I think that caused some friction, unnecessary friction in the community. I will pass it to Edu.
Thank you. You got me off guard. So transparency. I think I still remember Sargon words, and I will always stand by those. Like transparency is nothing without accessibility, and I think that is something we work a lot in making possible. I think the only thing that I will like more it's regarding transparency is to have seen it as a process that the rest of other communities could have learned from us. I think it was a very underestimated asset that we had, and I think we could have exported that as something that it was one of our core values that we carry in the best way possible. And I think that is also an extremely challenging value to be able to carry forward. So yeah, kudos to Septimus. I'm passing it to you, Septi.
Oh, thank you, Edu. Yeah, for me, like the hardest part was like, since we didn't also had like sanctions, like there was so many proposals that just asked for money, and the money at the day of today is still not being moved. Like proposals that ask for money and the money is still there. I don't know for how long, but we don't have like clear processes there. Like we could work to improve those and have shared milestones, and probably with osmotic funding, we can do a stream fund as long as the value is being provided. So and then I also don't think like what matters is not like the amount of time people put in something; it's the value it brings. So if someone puts less time, but the value is yeah, I'll pass it to Semnem.
Pass it to Santik then. I was already.
Thank you,
I was just
Semnem.
vibing with you, Septimus. You still had like 10 seconds. Sorry.
I agree. We were building such a powerful project with a very very fast growth, touching many key areas. A lot of new people who was completely new to Web3, people who had experience, people who didn't have experience. It's kind of hard to say what we did wrong. I cannot measure what we did wrong as I would do on a regular organization. This was completely different of any organization I've ever been involved into. I think transparency was great, but there were many of the issues that you guys have mentioned and posted on the stickers that are correct. I'll pass it to Shuba.
Thanks, Santi. Okay, I'll try to be quick. Yeah, so I think I'm just going to echo myself in some of the previous comments about transparency is obviously a wonderful concept, and it did produce so many great recordings to be used. But in general, my main point has been thinking about the inclusivity of the greater community. So issues of like the scaling of it, and that there, because of so many of the different components of how transparency either worked or didn't work, that a lot of people did not feel included. There have been a lot of, I guess, alienated facets. Okay, I'll pass it to Tam.
Oh, I didn't realize I was unmuted. Sorry. Thank you. So I'll say for transparency, I think that it's a really good start. I think somehow in hindsight, it feels like it's strayed a little bit from the principle of mutual monitoring around understanding the appropriation of resources and who's appropriating and, you know, how the rules are being applied. But I'd say, look, this is the recordings of 2 years of a early stage emerging DAO, having every video it's a gold mine for future anthropologists who want to study this. And then for stewardships, I'm really going to say, I'm sorry, what we clearly failed on is accountability, and that it's difficult to offboard stewards, and like the title, it felt like you know, it was contra this duocracy, because it felt like it was a title more than a role that people are energizing. But I think we also did a lot of things great. I just don't have time to say them. I'll pass to Jess.
Hi, just I guess briefly, yeah, I think there's so much good work done. Echoing what Suga and Tam both said, a lot of valuable things produced. I guess I'd say for me, it felt like the synthesis is maybe a bit missing, like TLDRing, because it's just, there's no way that if you're not in all of the meetings, like, I guess I still felt it was very difficult to keep up with what was going on. And I'm realizing more and more how important the kind of curation and synthesis layer is. So I think that would be an area for improvement as well. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that transparency was great specifically because well, the structure was very complex, and the undertaking that we were going on was unprecedented and very large. So I think that the outcomes that we reached were amazing. I would say that it was the structure, the like almost staticness that the underlying structure had, which maybe harmed some of the transparency accountability processes. And though we did think through of kind of how we work with proposals and so on, we so there was accountability in the initial stages which you had thought of, but that did not translate into later stages when the working groups were actually, you know, developing. Who hasn't got name? Yes.
I'll go. Yeah, I just want to say transparency, amazing, accountability, almost zero, stewardship, well intended. I think one of the insights that I've had through all this was that stewards took on too much work, and that we generally ignore the individual capacities of contributors and stewards. And I do think that is something that we need to be aware of moving forward. You know, and making sure that the workload is distributed as much as possible, and taking more time to care about that. And I'll pass it on to Lauren.
Yeah, and just to say that we're on the top of the hour. If anyone needs to leave, we'll just finish this round and then wrap up. Lauren, do you want to take it?
Sorry, my groceries were getting delivered, so I've been like a little bit, I haven't been able to pay attention. But opinions on stewardship and transparency, without having heard what anybody just said, I think that we were really great from a transparency front on like keeping record of everything that we did, like recording calls and all the forum posts and everything. But one thing about that is that it becomes like that we have now too much information and it's hard to find things and hard to actually like translate into something that's practical to share with others. And and from a stewardship standpoint, I can just think also of like my personal perspective. Like when I was not a steward in the TC, I was like way more active and engaged in. I guess I'm out of time. I was really anyway. I had a lot of energy at that point, but then I got so caught up in so many other things that when I was like actually an official steward, it was really hard for me to maintain balance with all of the responsibilities I had, and then also be like a valuable leader. And then I felt like there was a lot of this happening in the stewards group with people kind of coming to edges, and anyway, there was a challenge. So I'll stop talking because I'm over time.
Who hasn't gone yet?
NT and Bear.
So- Bear, do you want to take it?
I don't have much else to say. I think I resonate with what most people have been saying. I think transparency in itself, the concept, having it in an organization, it's really new and really innovative and really, I think it brought a lot of benefits. And I think it's just like everything we're doing, a constant experiment and a constant iteration to keep improving the processes and to keep making it actually work for the people. So, and same thing with the stewardship. I think it's a really valuable process and valuable experience that we had that I think it's important, and that's why I appreciate this exercise you are providing, Livy, because we can now learn from that experiences and transform it into something better. Pass it to you, NT.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, I think transparency was great. In fact, if I'm here, is because everything is open, because we have all this information available to everybody, and even though I came in like early this year, I've been able to have a glimpse of the history of the TC through all the documents we have. I guess I'd say for both transparency, accountability, and stewardship that we got just very used to certain stuff, certain processes, or whatever, and things became not as useful and rather complex. And so we lacked transparency and accountability for some stuff that while the TC was evolving, we were not able to catch up. And at some point, the role of a steward became really it became really hard to understand what is a steward. And so people, I guess that's a reason why people expected also too much, because it was just hard to understand.
Thank you. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming. Sorry for going over time. I'll I'll reach out to you with follow-ups of this exercise. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Livia.
Thanks,
everyone. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Take care.
Guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Hey.
What's that?